Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Most welcome to grammar class, dear students. Today we are going to study one of the advanced topic of English grammar. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, today we are going to talk about the narration. Now, what's narration? What's reporting? We will be studying this inshallah in this video, in this lecture, first lecture on reporting or narration. So the question today, our first question is, what's narration? We define narration in this way: that narration is the act of reporting words of speaker. What's narration? Narration is the act of reporting words of speaker, of the speaker, either in your own words or the words of the speaker, right? So in some books you find them called reporting. They're also sometimes called narration is also sometimes called reporting. What? It's called reporting. Okay, now what's reporting? We say the act of conveying message, the act of conveying speakers, or we can say message from one person to other, right? From one person to others. Now what do you mean by that? Now let me give you an example that what's narration mean, right? Narration, you can also call narration big biting, right? You talk about one person, or you say the words of one person to another person, or you convey the one person's words to other person. This is simply called narration. Okay, now let's see. If suppose there are three students, one is Sana, the other is Ali, and the other is Ahmad. So these students are communicating or interaction with one another. First, Sana and Ali are talking to each other. Okay, so Sana says that I cannot come to class today. Sana says I cannot come to class today. Now this is a sentence. So Ali would say Sana said. So comma, double quotation, they are also called inverted commas, right? Double quotation marks. After that, capitalize the first letter. I cannot come to class today. Now you see, after that, dot in double inverted, or we can say the terminal quotation marks. So these are called initial quotation marks, and these are called terminal quotation marks. Double quotation marks we call them. We can also use single quotation marks, but that's very famous in British English, not in American English. In American English, double quotation marks are used, or double inverted commas. So now this is direct speech, because I didn't add anything here. Ali didn't add anything here. It's whatever Sana said, he copied the same sentence, he conveyed the same sentence, the same word in her words. In her words, he quoted, right? Now if Ali said to Ahmad in the different words, like for example, after 2-3 days, he says his Sana's message to Ahmad. So he would say Sana said, right? We don't use comma. Instead of comma, we use that, right? That I is changed to what? If you say I here, then it means that the I refers to Ahmad, but these the I refers to what? Ali. But these words are not Ali's words, right? These words are Sana's words. So then for Sana we should use a subject. So for Sana, what do we use? She, right? So logically you should think. See that if I say I, then it refers to what? To the speaker of this sentence, not the speaker of the idea. Okay, if I say she, then it says that the speaker of these words, the one who uttered these words. Okay, Sana said that she could, so can change to could. She could not come, change to what? Go. She could not go to the class what? That day. Okay, see this is how you say it, with no comma is used in this. No comma, no double quotation marks are used. See this is called reporting. Simply we call them what? Reporting. Okay, now after this, let's proceed. We have speech. Before we start talking about the ways how we convey or report the messages or the ideas of one person to another person, so before we start that, we should focus on the speech. What's speech? A talk or dialogue between two persons is called speech. When there are two people talking to each other, it's called speech, right? When they have a small talk, it's called speech. They are having dialogue over a certain issue, it's called speech, right? Or you can also say the lecture given to a number of audiences is called speech. For example, Zakir Naik gives great speeches about Islam. Now that's speech in which one person stands in front of the audience on podium and delivers a message or speech or talks to other people. We call that process speech. Speech is the way, act, and power of speaking. Now what is speech? It's the way, act, and power of speaking. This is how we define speech. Okay. Next we have, there are two ways to convey one's ideas. We convey idea in two ways, right? The first way is coda speech, which is also called direct speech, or the other way is reporter speech, which is also called indirect speech. Now in American English it's pronounced direct, while in British it's pronounced direct speech and indirect speech. So reporter speech and coda speech. In two ways we can convey the messages or the ideas of person or of the speaker. Okay, now what is coda speech or what is reporter speech? Let's study each one in details. Okay, now direct speech or coda speech. Coda speech is a speech through which we convey someone's speaker's exact words inside of quotation marks. Coda speech is also called direct speech. Remember that in which if you convey the person's exact words inside the quotation marks, it means you are quoting, you are doing the act of direct speech. Okay, now see this. For example, in coda speech we do not bring changes in the words of the speaker. Whatever the speaker said, we just identically copy them. Okay, now see that it refers to reproducing the exact words of the speaker. No change. We bring no change in direct speech whenever we want to deliver or convey the message of the speaker. Insert quotation mark. Okay, now the key points you have to bear in mind. There are some key points that you should bear in mind. The first point is it is made of two parts. It has two parts. Okay, the first part reporting speech, the second part reported speech. Now what is reporting speech? It contains subject and a reporting verb. So reported speech, it contains the exact words of the speaker. So here you go. Ali said this is said. It's also called reporting word. Okay, so Ali said reporting speech. Up to here it's a reporting speech. I go to school, it's a reported speech. You should get yourself familiar with these terms because we will use these terms in upcoming lessons a lot. Okay, since it's the first lecture we don't use these here, but we are coming in the upcoming lessons we repeatedly use reporting speech or reported speech. So that's why I have explained them right here, that you should get familiar with these terms. Okay, I hope you understood. Let's move on now. Continue. Reporting speech can come before or after the reported speech. You know reporting, what I mean by reporting speech. Okay, it can come before and after the reported speech. What do you mean by that? Now this is a reporting speech. You see that this is what this is reporting speech. It can be used either at the beginning of reported speech or at the end of the reported speech. It's very simple. See, but there is a note here. Whenever reporting speech is used before the reported speech, the comma, you see comma, it's used outside of the quotation marks. You see, outside of the quotation marks. Whenever it is used after the reported speech, then the comma goes inside the quotation marks. This is the note that you have to follow. You can read it right here. Okay, so let's proceed. Indirect speech or reported speech. Reported speech, now I hope you understood on the reported speech. Okay, now let's move on to the indirect speech. But before we move on to the indirect speech, I would like to give you an example. Let's focus on that. Let me give you, suppose that she is an intelligent student. What? She's an intelligent student. Okay, now I want you to pause the video for few seconds and change this sentence into quoted speech. Okay, the answer is she. Who said? There should be the speaker. She said, comma, remember it has two parts. Now she said this is reporting speech. After that we use comma and then double quotation marks. So these quotation marks are called initial quotation marks. She is an intelligent, what? Intelligent student. No change in the words of the speaker. Dot and terminal quotation marks. You see this. This is quoted speech. Okay. Now let's move on to the indirect speech or reported speech. Reported, like after 2-3 days you want to convey the message, so you should follow then you should be doing the indirect speech. Reported speech is a speech through which we convey someone's idea by our own words. Here we just follow the idea of the speaker. We do not copy the person's or the speaker's exact words. We just follow the ideas in our words. We bring change in them, right? Like for example, what sort of changes come, we will study in upcoming lectures. Tenses change, pronouns changes, you know, the modal changes, time expressions, adverbs, they are changed. Okay, some certain verbs are also changed. So this is how we say that. Okay, now indirect speech, okay, this is the definition. It's not the speaker's exact words and the quotation marks are not good. Remember, since indirect speech is not the exact words of the speaker, therefore the quotation marks are not used, right? We do not use quotation marks here because they are not the exact words of the speaker. Okay, see example. Sonia, I want to buy a car. It's a simple sentence. Now you want to change this from one person to the other person after 2-3 days. Like you say, she said that she wanted to buy a car. Now the first sentence is in present indefinite tense, while the second sentence is in present indefinite tense. No, it's in past indefinite tense. As you can see that here, there it want and wanted. See, I is changed to she, right? That is added here, but there are no quotation marks. Okay, now there are some key points that you should bear in your mind. Okay, the first, it's made of two parts. How? Likewise, indirect speech is also made of 2 points. The first point is main class, the second point is noun class. So what is main class and what's noun class? We will study inshallah main class and noun class in upcoming classes whenever we are studying classes, but here we are dealing with the reporting, so that's why I'll just try to get you familiar with the names, right? Practically here you see that Ali said, this is a main class, right? Ali said main class. It has two parts. The first part is Ali said main class, right? And that he was too tired. This is the noun class. It has two parts, so remember that indirect speech has two parts. The first part main class, the second part noun class. The main class contains the reporting speech and the noun class contains the reported speech, or we can say the speech of the speaker, the idea of the speaker in our words. Okay, now before we come to the difference between these two speeches, let's see. Now first, before you change this one into quoted speech, now this sentence is in a quoted speech. How will you change it into indirect speech? I'll just take a pause. Okay, the answer is she said, no comma. As I said that no comma is used, so instead of comma we use that, right? Remember, this part is called noun class. Up to here it's a noun class. Okay, after we use that, what? That, instead of a comma you should use that is noun class marker. Okay, then she is not changed, so you say she itself. So this is in present tense, present indefinite tense. Now if you want to change it to indirect speech, you have to come 1 tense back. So we follow here the back shifting method, a method in which we come 1 tense backwards. Okay, so now she was an intelligent, what? An intelligent student. No quotation marks are used. Keep in mind. So this is how we change quoted speech into reported speech. Okay. Now let's talk about the differences between these two. What are the common differences between reported speech and quoted speech? The first, convey someone's exact idea. Convey not someone's exact idea. The first difference is, in quoted speech we convey the exact idea of the speaker. We do not bring any changes. Okay, whatever the speaker said, we identically, or we can say accurately or similarly to the speaker, we copy them. We copy them exactly, right? But here in reported speech, since we say it in after a few 5 days, we have to bring some changes. Use comma. We use comma after said reported verbs or reporting verbs. We should use comma. See comma, but no comma as you say here. Use quotation marks. No quotation marks. Use subject with complete letter. Not complete letter. This is something that is optional. No change of tense. We don't change the tense here. Tense is usually changed. Why do I say usually change? Because there are certain certain cases in which tenses are not followed. Okay, so usually we change tenses. No change adverb. Adverbs is not changed. Here we change the adverb. Adverb means that time expressions, they are changed. No usage of that. That is not used. That is an noun class marker. We do not use this. That is used optionally. It's optional. If somebody asks you this question that can we change a sentence from quoted speech into reported speech without using that? Of course we can use that. Okay, it's an optional. Well, it will just make it better. It will make it clear for the reader, right, to understand, or for the listener. No change of pronoun. Pronouns are not changed, while in reported speech pronouns are changed. You see example. First thing, Hamid said. It's a quoted speech. Hamid said, comma, quotation marks, I am watching TV. That's simple, right? I missed the quotation marks here, and terminal quotation marks, you can put them by yourself. Now this is indirect speech or reported speech. Hamid said that he was watching TV. So now in this example you can see the differences between quoted speech and reported speech. Okay, I hope you understood. So let's move forward. Now, rules of quoted speech. There are certain rules that you should learn while you want to make a sentence in quoted speech. The first one is use a reporting verb said in coordinating class, right? Said is a reporting verb, it should be used. Okay, put comma after the reporting verb said. After the reporting verb said, we should put comma, and then open quotation marks, like I told you, open quotation marks, and then capitalize the first letter of the sentence, and then put all the important signs inside the quotation marks, right? Close the quotation marks. Okay, so you see that the quotation marks must be above the line, not on the line. Like it should be used above the line. Like it should be used in super case, not in like it should be used in above the line, right? We follow them above the line. Okay, they should be used above the line. Like there is a now dot is used below, so if you want to place it, if you want to use this dot between, so the comma should be used before. Okay, so now, so I said that, as we said, in superscript, the quotation mark should be used in superscript, not in subscript. Okay, if there are more ideas from one person, all of them should be inside one quotation marks. Remember that, for example, one person said a lot of things, so you have to put them all in one quotation marks, right? Okay, now if there are different ideas from different people, each of them should be inside the separate quotation marks. If the speakers are different, then you have to put them in different quotation marks and separate quotation marks. Example, you see that Bilal, see the reporting word Bilal after comma, quotation marks, capital letter, I'm studying English now, so dot, and in superscript quotation marks. Okay, that's it. These were rules of quoted speech. I hope you keep them into your mind, or in your mind. Now, rules for reported speech. Sorry, if we want to change direct speech into indirect speech, we must follow these rules. The first rule is the most important part of indirect speech is the noun class. There was said noun class, right? Now put the word that after the verb said, right? After the verb said in reported speech, sorry, in quoted speech we use comma, but here we do not use that. Comma is not used, right? Quotation marks are not used. Change the subject pronoun. Pronouns are changed. I to he, she. Okay, the other changed. We will study inshallah all of them, right, in upcoming lessons. We change the time expressions. The time expressions are changed. This changed to that. These to those. Hitcher to thither. Here to there. Thus to so. Like there are a lot of changes that we bring. See example. Bilal said that he was studying English then. You see the example, right? Okay, so this was our today's lesson. I hope you understood. If you have any kind of question, please do not hesitate to ask me. I'll try my best to provide answers to your questions. Tata, Allah Hafiz.